This is 911. Do you have an emergency?
Today on Rescue 911, suspense on the water when a speedboat loses control.
There just didn't seem to be anything that any of the boats could do.
A hot dog rescue could become a disaster.
A young kid like that will do almost anything, so you're scared to death for him.
Plus, when rescuers arrive,
Oh my God, that's my sister Mary.
life and death hits too close to home.
Just raise the intensity.
On Rescue 911.
When in the spring of 1994, Scott Baker married Shelley Burrell, he was thrilled to gain a son as well, her 3-year-old boy, Michael. But on May 28th at Grand Lake in Grove, Oklahoma, Scott discovered how quickly the things we hold dear can be taken away.
Michael was just sitting in between my legs because he wanted to be by the wheel. He had never been out on a boat before. I had the boat full throttle, and that's what he liked. He liked the speed. You know, he's faster, Daddy, faster. He was having a ball.
Michael's mother, Shelley, and Scott's sister were also in the boat.
We got almost to the end of the lake, and we turned around and started coming back. It was Memorial Day weekend, so there was a lot of boats out there.
We was coming up on the bridge. I was looking back, just making sure there was no boats coming up. I never did see the boat that caused the wake.
I was just yelling, "Michael, Michael." I looked around, I couldn't see him. I didn't know where he was.
When we continue.
Matt has a reputation for being a wild man on the lake. We didn't know what that kid was going to do.
Jim Spencer and his wife were coming in from fishing when they saw the accident.
The boat was going in a pretty good full circle at full throttle, and I was concerned about the boat coming back and running over somebody.
At that time, I heard a little scream, and I looked up at the boat. Michael was still in it.
It was going fast. And I just thought for sure Michael was going to stand up, get thrown out.
Bill Homewood also came over to help pull the family out of the water.
Consequences of the motor coming across somebody in the water is devastating. It's just like sticking your hand in a meat grinder.
Just try to get up here. Circle with the boat, man.
We picked Scott up, and I asked him how much gas his boat had in it. He said it just filled it up. I thought, my gosh, that thing will run for 3.5 hours.
I was close enough to where I could holler at him, telling him just to stay down. I was very worried because it was full throttle, and if it would have straightened out and hit something, Michael, as small as he was going to be seriously injured, if not killed.
The only idea I had at the time was for Scott to get back in the boat. We had enough power with our boat to get alongside it. But because every time it would hit its own wake, it would skitter out again and make a tighter turn. It was difficult to estimate when to go in and try it.
Watch your boat right here.
Scott missed. And that was really scary for me because the boat prop couldn't have missed him more than a foot.
You all right?
I told him, don't try that again, but we'll figure out some other way to do this.
From her lakeside home, Pat Seawright spotted the rescue efforts.
There just didn't seem to be anything that any of the boats could do. That boat was just, it was just wild. I couldn't see how anything could save this child.
Daddy! Get out!
Every now and then you'd hear him scream, Daddy, or Mama. He's my stepson, but I love him like he's mine.
17-year-old Matt Reeves was working at the family business in the nearby marina.
There's a runaway boat with a little kid in it. No, let's let him away from it. Okay.
Matt's father, Roy, was also working that day.
Matt enjoys helping people. So, knowing Matt like I do, I yelled to him, be sure you've got a life jacket on.
Here comes this kid on a wave runner. We didn't know what that kid was going to do.
I seen Matt show up. And he came up and he asked me, would you mind if I tried to get into the boat? I said, if you can get in, well, I owe you, I owe you dearly.
Matt has a reputation for being a wild man on the lake. He rides that wave runner all the time. A young kid like that will do almost anything, so you're scared to death for him.
After I saw Matt go in and then back off, I got to thinking, that's my boy out there. If the runaway boat hits him or knocks him off the wave runner, he's going to be chopped by the prop. He circled a couple times, and then he turned around like he told himself, one shot's all I got, we're going to go for it.
After I shut the boat down, everybody in the boats were cheering, and horns were blowing and blasting. And Michael, he was shaking. I kind of realized what I did, and my nerves were kind of shaking, and I couldn't hardly pick him up.
Everybody's mood changed so fast. I think they kind of wanted to just step out of my boat and walk on water over there.
I took Michael into my arms, and I was holding him real tight. I couldn't stop crying. And I remember him telling me a couple times, it's okay, Daddy, I love you, Daddy. It made me realize how much I really did care for him.
It was all over, and I just can't explain how tremendously relieved we were. It could have been so bad. About that time, the lake patrol boat pulled up. I turned around to look for Matt, and he was gone. Off into the sunset.
A month has passed since 3-year-old Michael's boating accident.
You know what the boat did to my mom and dad? It threw them out in the water. It went around and around the circle again, and I was scared to stand up. But Matt Reed got me out of that boat. He's the hero. Matt Reed is like Batman.
Label myself as a hero. I guess I had to do what I had to do, or what anybody could do. I love the water. If I'm not around water, I'm not comfortable.
What's so funny?
Lake Patrol Officer Jim Allred investigated the incident.
I was very surprised that in an accident of this type, there was no injury. The rider of a jet ski or a wave runner should not even consider doing anything similar to this. This is an extremely dangerous thing to attempt.
Like I said, it was just, the Memorial Day weekend when we were camp.
When I met him, he seemed so young. He seemed like a little kid. And then I was thinking what he did. He put himself in danger, and he didn't even think about it.
I think Matt did something that will be remembered for a long time.
Next.
She was well beyond the golden hour, so we knew we were fighting time and fighting shock. And at this time, I really didn't know whether we could save her or not.
After 28 years of marriage, Floyd Engel and his wife Mary could not imagine life without each other. On June 23, 1992, in Napoleon, Indiana, Floyd began his day never thinking that this might be the last morning they'd share together.
Hey.
Oh, what is it?
That morning we got up and ate breakfast.
You have a good day.
I kissed her goodbye.
Okay, I'll take it easy. Bye-bye, sweetie.
That's pretty much a tradition.
Every weekday morning, Mary left for work early enough to drive the 16 miles into town by 8 a.m.
It's about 20 to 10, so I thought, well, I'll just give her a call.
Stacy, how you doing? Is Mary there? Let me talk to Mary, please.
And they said, no, she ain't got here yet.
You kidding?
I just knew it was something bad that happened.
She left here about 2 hours ago.
I just was thinking, I gotta find her, I gotta find her. I was gonna backtrack the way she goes to work, trying to see if I could see something. I just knew if she would have been right alongside the road where somebody seen her, I would have heard by now. As I was coming around the curve, I seen skid marks. I just knew it was her. I couldn't find her in the car. I thought, oh God, she got thrown out too. As I was hollering for her, I heard a low faint moan. I could see her laying down by the creek. Her eye was covered with blood. Her bone was sticking out of her arm. I could lose her right there. And that's when I said a prayer.
Breathe easy, it's gonna be okay. It's okay.
I heard a couple cars go by.
Hey, I'm down here!
They couldn't hear me. I didn't want to leave her there, but I had to get help.
Floyd drove to the nearest home to call for help. Rescue units with the Batesville Fire Department were immediately dispatched.
Ripley County, 69-3.
As soon as Ripley County Sheriff's Deputy Bill Davison got to the scene, he radioed for the extrication unit. The first medic to reach Mary was EMT Dan Sunderman.
Ma'am, can you hear me? She was laying in a pool of blood that had obviously come from the head. tell me how you're feeling? I thought there's no way she's alive. I needed every piece of equipment out of the back of that ambulance if I was going to do anything at all with this patient.
EMT James Weigel was among those treating Mary.
She had a very, very weak pulse and a very, very weak blood pressure. She had what we call raccoon eyes, those signs of severe head trauma.
Bag. Okay, I got a backboard.
She was well beyond the golden hour, so we knew we were fighting time and fighting shock. And at this time, I really didn't know whether we could save her or not.
Volunteers with the local Napoleon Fire Department also responded, including firefighter first responder Larry Shaddy.
It's a fear in every EMT's mind. The next wreck could be somebody you know or somebody you love, your mom, your sister, your brother, your son. It's always there.
Gonna need a Stokes basket?
I looked over and I saw Floyd's car. I said, well, you know, what's he doing here? Then I looked over the hill and I saw Mary's car. I said, oh my God, that's my sister Mary.
Hey guys,
I kept thinking there's brain damage or she's got spinal damage or she's gonna be paralyzed the rest of her life.
Blood pressure's every few minutes.
Okay.
And then I smack myself around. I go, no, we can't do that. You know, we're here to help.
Another one of the volunteers who arrived was Jason Engel, who rescue workers knew was the victim's son.
Come on over here.
The scariest moment was realizing that it was my mother down in the embankment.
Is she okay?
We don't know what the statistics are on her yet.
It was hard staying there. It was real hard.
Let's go. Dan, I got her. Okay.
Are we in the basket? Let's get the straps down.
Our number one problem was with the blood pressure. It was dropping quick.
Up. Okay.
My assessment was she won't be alive by the time we get her to the top of this hill.
Keep her protected from the branches.
At the point that we found out that there was family there and on the fire team, it just raised the intensity.
Easy. Get these stumps in the way here.
We're letting the wind. I got your foot there, Moon, for a second.
There must have been 6 or 8 of us holding onto the Stokes basket as we went up this hill, trying to maneuver it through the trees and get it up this embankment that was very steep and very muddy.
By this time, more than 3 hours had passed since Mary's accident.
Just as we were getting to the top of the hill, air care was touching down. It was like an angel dropping down right there on the road in front of us.
The worst part was going to the hospital because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know she was still okay.
Mary Engel was flown to the University of Cincinnati Hospital, where she was examined by trauma surgeon Kenneth Davis.
She had a laceration on her forehead. Her pelvis was fractured, and she had what was obviously a broken arm. But the life-threatening part of her injuries was her stomach was in her chest as a result of her diaphragm being ruptured.
Okay.
Without getting any further tests, we went straight to the operating room. No, give me a Babcock.
Mary underwent 5 hours of surgery to try to repair her ruptured diaphragm, shattered elbow, and fractured pelvis. During the 16 days she was hospitalized, her family was never far from her side.
We went in there and Mary's arms hanging up here in the sling, and she goes like this. I said, she waved goodbye, she waved goodbye.
1 year later, Mary is still undergoing treatment for some of her injuries.
They have operated on the elbow twice. They've operated on the shoulder twice. My arm won't bend straight out, but I can use my arm. And considering they was going to cut it off, I feel very, very lucky.
Hit it hard. There you go. Way to go. I'm proud of you.
I think my mom was saved for her kind-heartedness.
You're welcome. I was glad to help you out.
She's always happy. She's always in a good mood.
I'll do the dishes.
She's always been there for me.
The dishes.
How many times? Say, try cleaning your
It just can't think of her not being around.
I'm glad that we were there, and we're glad that you're still here with us, sis.
Thanks, brother.
There's a lot of people that needs to get a lot of thanks for helping me out. But special thanks I need to go to God and Floyd. Because without them too, I just wouldn't be here.
Screwdriver too, man.
Screwdriver?
You just don't realize how close you are until something like this really happens. She's a determined person. She's strong-willed. She's always there, giving me support.
I know, but it's the truth.
She's a lady that you want to spend the rest of your life with.
You'll take me?
Yeah, sure.
Be good.
Step out of the car, please.